realm, and I'm going to start letting people in.
Yowza.
Okay. Admit everyone. I admit everyone.
Piano Tech Radio Hour.
The world's largest online collection of piano nerds.
Yes, all nerding
Here we
as
are.
one in
All
one
nerding.
direction.
All nerding as one. Happy
Yeah.
Halloween. Mr. Stephen Brady is here today. He inspired me with his mask to go get mine.
And they both inspired me to never, ever wear a mask ever again.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, I'm going to give a quick intro and then we'll get started. We like to get down to business here. So, yeah. On today's radio hour, I just want to remind you that we are brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, an online educational resource that does offer you cutting-edge instruction from piano and industry masters without leaving your home. You can always find out more at www.pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. And a special announcement before I introduce our lovely guest today, and that is we finally have a page where you can sign up for our convention in December, 10th to 12th of December. We're doing 3 master classes every day. One of them will actually be Stephen Brady, who's our guest today.
Yay.
Looks like he'll be teaching us about dampers, which I'm excited about, although I'm leaving him the opening to change that if he wants while we're talking today. But he's going to give an excellent class no matter what. So there's a page where you can sign up. I just put that in the chat. There's a special rate until November 10th. So make sure you get in early. You'll definitely get the best opportunities available. Let me give a quick introduction to Steve, and then we'll jump in. He's a award-winning piano technician and respected PTG veteran. Along with securing a place in the PTG Hall of Fame, he was awarded the PTG's Golden Hammer Award, which he swiftly sold at a pawn shop to help pay for his phone bill. But that is one of the profession's highest honors. And he won that for his contributions to the piano industry. Just kidding. I think I've seen it on his mantle or something. He is the author of Under the Lid, The Art and Craft of Concert Piano Technician, and he resides in Seattle, Washington. Steve, it's so great to have you here on Piano Tech Radio Hour again. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. I think I'm going to remove my mask now so you can see who I am.
Hey.
I got another mask that I like because it looks a lot like me. I'm going to leave both of these off for now. Oh boy!
Well, very nice. I should have asked people to dress up. Actually,
the problem is I've got hearing aids now, and they're getting tangled up. Okay.
Wow. Just real quick, folks. I met Steve Brady, 15 years ago. He walked into my backyard and we spent the next 6 hours like just deep engaged in talk and reverie.
I remember that. That was really fun. We talked about everything, and then we found out that our birthdays are exactly 1 year and 1 day apart, or something like that.
Something like that. It's amazing.
Whatever. But anyway, I thought I'd like to talk a little bit today about business. Has anyone talked about that recently on the radio hour?
No, not exactly. We touch upon it here and there. Our probably hottest episode was with Carl Lieberman. Talked a little bit about business, but yeah, that'd be really fun if you want to bring some
that was one
business
of
to the table.
Yeah, that was one of our best episodes because it was like snappy. and no bullshit.
Well, I was thinking that I've been in the piano business for 47 years, which makes me feel really old.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that in those 47 years, even though I spent 25 years as a piano technician at a university, and it was a full-time job, it's on the side, because most universities don't pay very well if you're a piano technician. So I always had this side business, and typically I grossed more in my side business than I did in my full-time job at the university.
That's brutal.
But over the years, and actually, so that was just 25 of the 47 years that I was at the university. And the other 22 years, I was entirely self-employed. So I learned a lot, and I thought that I wanted to talk a little bit about what I've learned about the business of being a piano technician. First of all, it's really important to get good training, and I'm talking about not only your basic training or your initial training in the business, but continuing education. You need to be constantly working to improve your skills, because this plays into how successful your business is going to be. I've always thought that in my business or in my career, about 25% of the skills and knowledge that I have as a piano technician came from my basic training, my initial training. And actually, the longer I go, the smaller that percentage gets. It's probably down to about 15% now. But I can always keep learning. I think 25% or so of my career is due to my own ingenuity and things that I've figured out on my own. But the other 50%, I absolutely have to credit the Piano Technicians Guild and the various classes that I've taken over the years, the journal articles I've read, the books I've read that were written by PTG members, and my associations with other piano technicians in the Guild. I absolutely have to give at least half the credit to the Guild for anything I might know now. The next thing I wanted to say is that as piano technicians, the only way to achieve your greatest potential is to aim high. You've got to just aim you want to become as a piano technician, where you want to be in the field. One reason for that is that the lower end of the market is gradually shrinking. Spinets, consoles, old uprights, they're all disappearing from the market.
What I say every class I've ever taught in the piano business, I've said the low end is going away, and it is.
Absolutely. And it just continues going away, and the digitals are taking over that end of the market. This is not all bad, by the way. I think most of us probably cut our teeth on old uprights and spinets and miserable pianos out there. Even just tuning a spinet, really taxes our abilities.
Almost hopeless.
But
almost hopeless.
That's a big reason. And this is all the more reason to continue improving your skills in the business. Okay, one of my technician named Norman Neblett. He worked in, he lived in LA, and he was a concert tuner, tuned in recording studios and so forth. But he was an inspiration to me. And one thing he said a long time ago that I've never forgotten is something to the effect that if you can make a radical change in the sound and the feel of a piano, and if you can do it in a relatively short amount of time, you win. And it's absolutely true. If you have that ability to make the huge change in the sound and feel of the piano, people will seek you out. So you want to develop that ability, aim high.
Can I just interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard that before, and I feel like I've heard it exactly that way before. Have I heard it from you, David, exactly that way before as well?
Yes.
Is that something? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's
That's a quote. That's a iconic, deathless, legendary quote of Norman Neblett.
Got it. It's not just a paraphrase. Yeah, because you both said it very much the same way. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and actually, I have to confess that I was kind of reviewing some old handouts and things, and I did spot this on one of David's class handouts. So that's why it ended up sounding exactly the same.
It's great to hear from multiple sources.
It's just such a simple truth about the high end of our business, of our craft, rather. It's so simple, you know? It just is.
But now more than ever, if you want to have a successful business, that's the kind of thing you need to aim for, that ability to transform an instrument, not just tune a piano. Okay, I'm going to talk about one more topic. After that, we can just open it up for Q&A. But my last topic will be the longest. And this topic is, well, I'll lead into it with a story that my teacher told me 45, 50 years ago. There was a doctor in the old days when doctors trained other doctors who gathered his pupils together for one last lesson. And he said, this is going to be the most important lesson of all. And it's going to cost you $1,000. So all of his students came together, they paid their $1,000. You know, and this was back in maybe the 20s or 30s when $1,000 was a huge amount of money. And he said, okay, here's the lesson. Don't forget to charge for your services. And he got up and walked out. Doctors get it. You have to charge for your services. Most other tradespeople get it. For some reason, most piano technicians don't get it. Why do we give our services away too cheap? I think one reason is you could say, well, we don't have a trade union. You know, and trades like electricians and carpenters and plumbers, they all have their unions, and that helps them kind of remain focused on appropriate charges for their work. I personally think it's not such a bad thing that we don't have a trade union. But that may be one reason. Another reason I've always thought that piano technicians tend to undercharge is that many piano technicians have a spouse or partner who has a real job with benefits. So they can afford to treat their business more like a hobby instead of a business. You know, they don't, in terms of income, to have a middle class life with all the benefits that you would like to. different situation in that I have never had a spouse who had a real job with benefits. So in a way, I've been forced to confront the issue of, how do you run a business and make enough money that you can have a paid vacation and you can have medical insurance and life insurance and all of the other perks. So I've had to confront that head on. Okay, I think another reason that most techs undercharge is we tend to be good do-it-yourself people. I can remember when I was pretty new in this business and I was living in the Phoenix area. I can remember cleaning out a clogged drain with an old bass string. Turning that into a snake that I could go into the drain and clean it out. It was pretty clever. Another piano technician taught me how to do that. And so we're good do-it-yourself people. We change our own oil and we do all of these things, and instead of getting the carpet cleaners, we go to the grocery store to steam our carpets. But whatever it is, I think that may be a factor in why we tend to undercharge. We don't really know what real tradespeople and service people are charging. So we get stuck in this rut of charging too little and not raising our prices up. So I just wanted to tell you, I guess, how much to charge, because economies in different areas are different. And so nothing I could say in terms of an actual figure would mean anything. But what I can do is encourage you to try and hire service pros of different kinds occasionally, just to get a feel, have a finger on the pulse of what's actually happening out there. Minimum of $275 for a 20-minute service call. And that's just about what I charge for tuning. I'm working an hour and a half and they're working 20 minutes, but I find that I'm charging way more than most tuners in my area. I want to tell you a little story about, and I've over the years, but some customers, it was a husband and wife and they had two pianos. Inherited them from another technician who had retired. And this was a guy who didn't charge very much at all. He really undercharged. But I went.
Hey, Steve, you know what we might
do?
The
first time to work on the upright.
I might just hide your video for a minute so we can hear you better. I think it's,
okay.
For some reason, it's just kind of chopping out a little bit on us. I'm going to stop your video. Just keep chatting. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll let you know how that goes.
Okay. Okay, so I inherit these customers and they weren't used to paying a lot of money. So I went to work on the upright, and I think this was, 20 years ago, well, 15 years ago or so. And at any rate, I tuned it. I did a full service job on it. I tuned it and I replaced a string, all for my single full service fee, which at the time I think was $185. And I presented them with a bill, and the husband looked at it and he said, $185 for an upright? I was in kind of a weird mood that day. Anyway, so when he complains about paying $185 for full service on an upright, I said to him, you know what? I pay more than that to get my rain gutters cleaned. And I have spent my entire career in this business. I'm a skilled service professional. I'm not some guy who spent 2 weeks learning how to clean rain gutters or 2 hours. So he didn't say that he probably paid more than that to get his rain gutters cleaned too. But for some reason, since the previous technician had been charging, who knows, $125 or something. So are we still having problems with audio? No.
Yep.
Yes, sort of. Yeah, I put your video back actually because we were still having it. So because I wasn't sure, maybe it just helped to be able to see you. I guess I'll try removing your video one more time. Just to go back over what the story was. I think we got the details because I think the chopping allowed us to hear what you said. It just chopped it up a little bit, but basically you tuned the guy's piano. It was $185. He kind of was really surprised about it, but you mentioned, that you pay more than that to clean your rain gutters, and you're just kind of saying, I don't know if you said he actually agreed that he probably did too, or I missed kind of what his perspective on it was.
What he said, okay, he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything at all. So I think the reason he didn't say anything was probably because he paid more than that to get his gutters cleaned also. So anyway, the point of the story is I figured, well, I'll never see these people again. And 6 months later, they called me to come back and tune both of their pianos. And I tuned them, and with great trepidation, tunings. And the man went into his office and wrote a check. He came back, handed me a check, and he had given me a $50 tip.
Wow.
And I said, wow, that's very generous. I wasn't expecting that. He said, we just want you to know that we appreciate what you do.
Wow.
And so, that's something to keep in mind when you think that you're already charging as much as you could possibly charge. And not only that, since then, I now have a client who routinely gives me $100 tip every single time I tune his piano. And so if I charge $265, he gives me a check for $365. And he does it intentionally. I said, that's very generous. And he said, we just want you to know we appreciate what you do.
Wow.
So keep that in mind. Okay.
Yeah, it's
now,
really...
if someone...
Go ahead.
Okay. If someone calls or emails you and the first words that they say are, how much do you charge? They're not your kind of customer. I'm sorry. They're definitely not my kind of customer. Because, okay, these are people who are going to have their piano tuned once every 10 years, whether it needs it or not. They're not going to be the kind of customer you want. So what I do is you just want to tell them exactly what you charge, and it's good for shock value, I think. And then you just get out of there, just tell them the price and move on.
I've had similar experiences too. I'm sure probably David has as well, just where people provide tips, and I think it's a mixture of things. It's one that they're understanding the value of what you're doing. It's another piece of, recognizing that you care about what you do, and you're not just there to pick up a check.
Right.
You're there to do something special. But yeah, some people, they almost have they're almost hurt for you by how little you charge, and those are the kind of people that you want to work with, the one who kind of says, are you serious? How are you surviving on that kind of a thing? Because it really is true. It really is
Right.
true what you're saying. I'm gonna
I
just
don't-
swallow.
I never want to be seen as that person. I always want to be seen as Jesus.
Hmm.
That cost a lot, didn't it? Well, yeah, but look, it's great, you know. That's the kind of person you want to be. That's what Brady's talking about. Everything is going to the high end, and the more you can be what's doctors call a best practices operator, the better it is, and the better your reputation is, and the better you feel about yourself, and the more you're confident.
Right.
It's a huge, it's an unending circle of getting better. And that's, you look at Steve Brady and you just see that circle repeating again and again and again and again, because he's, you know, I hate to be like Charlie Sheen-esque or whatever, but he's winning. He's really succeeding in his craft and in life as a human being, obviously. And, you know, he's rocking. And that's how we can be. We can be rocking.
On that, I just want to just reach out to the people there that are watching us streaming. Just give you a quick warning. There should be a link in the chat that we put to join us on the private call. But we're going to sign off the live stream, and then if anybody wants to continue with us, just register and you can join us on the private call. So Steve, what, I didn't mean to interrupt. We didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought. Was that headed somewhere, or did you want to go to Q&A, or what are your thoughts?
I've got a couple more points. One is along the line